I want to preface by saying I am not a basketball expert. I'm just a fan who's naturally obsessed. And in today's video, we're going to talk about something that's been making the rounds in social media the last couple days, and that's Kevin Durant joining the Phoenix Suns. Now, sounds crazy, right? That would never happen, right? Well, hypothetically, let's just say the rumors are true. Kevin Durant is interested in joining the Phoenix Suns. Remember, dreaming's free, kids. So let's just say there's a chance. As I shared before in my last video about the Phoenix Suns, I know some people within the organization. And sometimes that makes me privy to certain information as it just starts hitting NBA insiders nationwide. Sometimes. And I've been made privy to something in regards to DeAndre Ayton that I kind of went into small detail about, but I'm currently gathering some information so I can make some content for you guys about some realistic trade scenarios for DeAndre Ayton. This is not in that video, but because it's been making the rounds in social media, I thought, why not go give you guys some information from what I personally know. And remember, I'm telling you, I know this. I am not sharing an opinion. So when I'm telling you a fact that I know, it's not to be argued. You can share your opinion. I'd welcome your opinion on whether or not you think this makes sense for the Phoenix Suns, whether or not you think this makes sense for Kevin Durant. But don't tell me you're wrong, that's not true, because I'm telling you, what I'm sharing is something that I know. And I do not know if Kevin Durant is indeed interested in coming to the Phoenix Suns. That hasn't been shared with me. But what I know is that James Jones, the general manager of the Phoenix Suns, is looking to aggressively pursue a superstar this offseason. Not a star, not an all-star, anything, a superstar. Who could that be? There's been a lot of rumors going around on social media. Damian Lillard, I promise you right now, it's not happening. I've heard on social media Joel Embiid, I promise you, that's not happening. And then I've heard a lot about Kevin Durant. The other two guys that I just mentioned are guys that I was actually told from the people that I know in the organization, no shot. But Kevin Durant is someone that I have not been given a yes or a no to. So because of that, and because of the rumors going around social media, I thought, why not, let's just hypothetically have fun, let's dream, and let's see what realistic trades the Phoenix Suns could potentially make to acquire Kevin Durant. So before we go into the actual trade, I want to talk about why would Kevin Durant want to come to Phoenix, right? Because he'd want to go somewhere where he could win, right? Like, for some reason, I understand the Phoenix Suns exited the playoffs this year in a very ugly way, and the Mavericks kind of exposed some massive holes in the Phoenix Suns game. They really did. And one of those holes being they need more people on the roster, more players on the roster that can create their own offense, aren't so reliant on the playmaking abilities of Chris Paul, Devin Booker, who are probably the only two guys, Chris Paul to a much lesser extent, but Devin Booker realistically is the only guy who can create his own offense. And a lot of the national media is kind of backlashing against that, saying, oh, no, he can't, no, he can't. He folded against the Mavericks in 2 consecutive closeout games. Well, because of how poorly everyone else on the Phoenix Suns team played, the lack of a threat that they were, the entire Mavericks defense was built around stopping Devin Booker, hence the double teams, hence the blitzing. Booker is very much so respected for his offensive abilities. So, that being said, the Phoenix Suns, they're still very much in a win-now mentality. And because they know now what they need, or at least that aspect of what they need, if they're in win now, they're going for it Guns a-blazing. So, another reason why Kevin Durant would want to come here. The coaching. Say what you want about how bad Monty Williams got outcoached by Jason Kidd in this series, but there's a reason why Monty Williams won the Coach of the Year. There's a reason why he's been the NBA Coach's Choice for that Coach of the Year 2 years in a row. He's very well respected, and it's known that Monty Williams is a damn good coach. And it probably helps that he has a past relationship with Kevin Durant, who has openly said how much he still loves and respects Monty Williams back when they were in Oklahoma City together. And if you want to really get technical as far as coaching goes, basketball fan, be 100% honest with this. Who would you rather have as your head coach? Steve Nash or Monty Williams? No question for me. Monty Williams every day that ends in Y and twice on Sundays. And the final reason why he could potentially want to come to Phoenix. Look at the stability that's been built in Phoenix the last few years. And look at the instability that Kevin Durant has had to go through these last couple of years with Kyrie Irving, with James Harden, the complete embarrassment and disappointment for the head coach and Steve Nash. He's had to endure a lot of dysfunction. And the final reason, before I get into the trades that I could actually see occurring, we all know how Kevin Durant is. He hears all the noise. He hears all the talk. He knows what you and I know, that people are judging him for leaving Golden State, leaving Steph Curry to join Kyrie. Regardless of how you feel about how Kevin Durant joined the Warriors, which I judge him still to this day, softest move in NBA history. It was. I can respect, as I've always said, and you'll always continue to hear me say, I am pro player in every situation. So that being said, I can respect to a massive extent that you want to win. That's what we play the game for, right? To win. But if you're truly one of the greats and truly one of the all-time greats, which Kevin Durant, I don't think he's a top 10 player all time, but he could potentially be knocking on that doorstep depending on how he finishes out these last few years of his career. So, winning a title is very vital for how the rest of his legacy is defined. Very much so. And the fact that you left Steph Curry to try to prove you could do it on your own hasn't worked out. Time's ticking away. Got to get it done. So, that being said, let's just say he demands a trade. I don't want to deal with this dysfunction anymore. I need to be in a place where I can just focus on hooping, focus on winning. I want to go to the Phoenix Suns because stable head coach, stable teammates, and he has been open multiple times about how much he loves Devin Booker. Openly said, back when he was in Oklahoma City in 2015, I wish we would have drafted Devin Booker. And it was that year. It's not now that we know Devin Booker is what he is now. No, he said it that year, I wish we would have drafted Devin Booker. The last 2 years, Kevin Durant has been an all-star captain in the East. Last year, he drafted Devin Booker for his team. And then in this offseason, the two of them got pretty close, played on the Olympic team together. This year, first pick for Kevin Durant's reserves was Devin Booker. He has an immense amount of respect for Devin Booker, and it's no secret. he would love to play with Devin Booker. I'm not saying it necessarily means that he would love to play for the Suns, but he would love to play with Devin Booker. So, that's out of the way. Let's talk about realistic trades that I could see potentially happening. So there's a lot of misinformation on previous YouTube videos that I saw going around, which is what kind of gave me the inspiration to start this video, is the misinformation that I'm seeing. So it's being reported by some people making videos about this that Kevin Durant is a free agent going into this offseason. That is incorrect. So originally, the deal that Kevin Durant signed with the Nets originally, his fifth year was supposed to be his fourth year was supposed to be a player option. But last offseason, he was extension eligible. So he signed a new 4-year deal worth $194 million, making his player option exempt. So now he's on a new 4-year, $194 million deal. So this upcoming year, 2022, he's making $44 million. So as most of you know who have been watching the NBA a while, when you have two teams that are above the salary cap and you want to make a trade, the salaries have to be very close, within $1 or $2 million. Can't take on too much more money because you're already over the salary cap. So here's what I know about a potential for this particular trade. The Nets will not be interested in Landry Shamet. How do I know that? Well, they're the ones who traded him to the Suns. The Suns ended up giving him an extension where Shamet's making about $9 million a year. And based on the year he just had, that's not a very good contract. And next year, the Nets will be getting Joe Harris back, who is basically, ideally, who Landry Shamet would be. So, they're not interested. Next, they would not be interested in Cameron Payne. Cameron Payne's a guy that I believe that James Jones would want to move to try to get an upgrade at the backup guard position. But the reason I say that they would not be interested, say you already have Kyrie and you already have Ben Simmons, who, I know those two right at the moment don't have the label of them being the most reliable players, but they both play the point guard position. I know you can probably play Simmons at the power forward. He's big enough and he's defensively skilled enough to handle that position. But you have two guys right there, your two stars outside of Kevin Durant, who can play point guard. Outside of that as well, I know that they'd love to bring Goran Dragic back. So, say you do, those are three guys who can play point guard right there. You don't have a need for a campaign, and for the lack of production he had this past year, it's just not very attractive for the Nets, especially when you're giving up a player like Kevin Durant. And I do know from the Phoenix Suns side, there is zero interest, and they are going to do everything in their power it takes not to include a Mikal Bridges in any sort of trade, regardless of who it's for. They love Mikal Bridges. He's without a doubt one of the best defensive players in the NBA. There's a reason he finished second in Defensive Player of the Year voting. So that is going to be something that the Phoenix Suns just, they are not interested in trading Mikal Bridges. So what would it take for this trade to work? Well, what would happen is DeAndre Ayton would need to be signed in trade, which would be a max deal of $177 million, making his 2022 salary $30.5 million. I believe that Jay Crowder would need to be included in that. His salary for next year, he's going into the last year of his deal, so an expiring contract and a player who can produce at a high level, $10.1 million. And then I do believe, to make it more enticing for the Nets to give up Kevin Durant, the Suns would need to include Cameron Johnson, who's a player that they do not want to trade, but at the same time, you're talking about Kevin Durant, whose skill set is kind of like Cam Johnson's offensively except multiplied, and he has the ability to be a plus size defender. So at that point in time, you take the final year of Cam Johnson's rookie deal, $5.9 million, and then include a 2023 first round pick. I believe with those three players and a pick included, unprotected, if it gets to the point where the Nets feel like they have to trade Kevin Durant, I think that gets it done. The second trade scenario that I have lined up for you guys is a scenario where the Nets come to the conclusion that they're moving off of Kyrie. They decide they have no choice but to move off of Kevin Durant, and they go into a full-blown rebuild. Here is another trade scenario that I think could get it done if that were the case. So you'd still include DeAndre Ayton, his sign and trade $30.5 million salary. You'd include Jay Crowder's expiring contract at $10.1 million. And then Dario Saric on the last year of his expiring deal of $9.2 million. And because with Dario Saric, the only value he'd really bring is his expiring deal, I think due to that and due to the fact that the Nets are going to be in rebuild mode, I think it's going to take 2 first-round picks in that scenario. A 2023 unprotected pick, and then I think probably a 2025 lottery-protected pick. I think that gets it done. So say this trade happens. Tell me how this sounds to you. Chris Paul, Devin Booker, Mikal Bridges, Kevin Durant, and then a center to be named later, which at this point in time, I think we can say that a center's not really a vital piece to Monty Williams' offense. It's just not. So I really think there are a number of players in free agency that won't cost you an arm and a leg that you could sign to be your starting center who are starting caliber players. You know, for example, Montrezl Harrell, Yusuf Nurkic, Mitchell Robinson, Isaiah Hartenstein, and then not only that, they may seriously look at bringing back JaVale McGee and Bismack Biyombo. I don't think either of those two would be a starter. I think you'd bring both of them back, or one or the other, to be your backup once again. But still, they showed when given the opportunity they could thrive in that backup center role. And JaVale McGee even started a few games. Bismack Biyombo even started a few games at center while DeAndre Ayton was injured. So centers, because the center position in this offense is the way it is, it's important defensively, but not so much offensively. I think as long as you have a player that commits to the defensive end of the ball at center, there's plenty of guys in this league that could potentially be plug-and-play guys at the center position. So, again, I'm not saying this is going to happen, that I think this is going to happen. I'm just saying let's have fun and let me share what I do know and apply it towards this scenario. So please let me know what you guys think down below. Comment, let me know what you think. If the Suns did get Kevin Durant, do you think that makes them legitimate title contenders going into next year? Or do you think KD's too old and wouldn't? Just let me know what you think. Comment down below, like, subscribe, and I'll talk to you guys later. Thanks, guys.